Okay. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, here we are. Hello, my name is Ditta of Godland. And today is the the culmination of my work, the very third day of proceedings of capitulation of New World Order. And my name is Ditta of Godland, and I am the Empress of the Earth's all indigenous people and beyond. All 7,170 indigenous language groups I represent and protect. I establish again all unalienable rights of these people on earth and beyond. That is my oath. And I do what I promise. During this third proceeding of capitulation of New World Order, corporations and individuals, I will show you the document that will be sent to International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice, both in Hague. And I will even show to you the documents that are necessary to know and to use to start to creating LoveOrder of Godland on Earth. I'll just scope through a bit so you start understanding how now and here we establish LoveOrder instead of this death cult, death camp, where we have been forced to exist, not to live fully. Though most of people think that the current laws don't allow us to be the rulers of our lands. That is not so. Because, beloved Godlanders, as you all are, remember, nobody has destroyed the natural law, the common law. Nobody has stopped from existence the laws about treason and war laws. And though this thought seems impossible to use on the lands of Sweden, where I now live, as they have established the rules of the knife, so you can't even carry a knife when you go out of your home. Nobody can truly forbid natural protection laws. Especially when it is a corporation that is actually a death camp agency that has established these unlawful laws. So all lawful laws, all natural laws, common laws are in place. The laws of treason in war and treason of your own people are in place, though you can't get proceedings through police structures, but they are in place. And the gods are with us, and we have to establish our own courts. The divine courts, the natural law courts, the common law courts. The courts of Godland that I now have established. And I am the Empress of the worldwide Godland, and I give you the statutes of Godland, both the worldwide banks and worldwide courts. You download them from LoveOrder.INFO, and you use the Rights of Godlanders Declaration, and you use the manual where I, the Ditta of Godland, protect you as the worldwide Godland Empress. And you have 4 contracts through me. And that contract sheet you download from LoveOrder.info and labie.lv, labie.lv, where it is in Latvian. And you translate it into all 7,000 languages of indigenous people, and you use it. And then we have our Godland Indigenous Empire with world indigenous rune points that we cut out of wood, and we register them in our books of local Godland, national Godland of your region, and start issuing them and using them. As well, we have checks of Godland. Right now, we have established them in Latvian, in Swedish, and in English. But all the other languages, they have to be translated too. Because there is nobody else that is coming to save us. Then we have to do the work ourselves. Because right now, it is still possible to save ourselves. Because you and we all just lack money. And money is one program, one IBM program, controlled by one hidden force that is hostile to humanity. There are 2 ways we act here. Of course, the most comfortable is to nationalize IBM into ownership of human civilization and upgrade the programs into welfare and love order programs. But if they don't capitulate, we have to establish our own wooden runes and checks of Godland. And tally sticks as well. So as it is right now, this full circle has gone, and I have completed more than 10 years of work. And this is the moment when I have given 1/2 of the tally stick couple, one of 2, to Swedish court, and it is 1 quadrillion world indigenous runes from banks of Godland. It's the founding amount of Godland emission of 1 quadrillion. And it is in the it's supposed to be in the archives of Örebro Tingsrätt, where I left them in the reception. And the receiver of that check and tally stick is its chief. Sveriges domstolar, Swedish court. Örebro Tingsrätt, Örebro local court. And his name is Lars Gunnar Lund. Lars Gunnar Lundh. Lundh. And his wife, Petra Lundh, is an experienced chief of state police and state prosecution office. At least she has been acting like one in the media and official pages of the corporations that control Sweden and have the power monopoly. So I have given to them, in my trust, one half of the tally stick. I'll show you the other one. Yeah, and I'll show you also where we are. We are in our beautiful hall in Gårdsjö. So it was on the 5th of November. Now, year 25, that I gave this tally stick, the other half of this tally stick. With iota symbol. In the reception of Örebro Tingsrätt. And it has my seal on it. Gosh, it's so dark. There, I'll have to put my mobile light on to make you see this beautiful piece of wood that is a quadrillion, so that you can actually see how tally stick that restores peace and welfare on earth actually looks. It's the 36th tally stick in the books of the County Bank of Godland. And on the other side, it's iota. And it's squarely. It shifts, just like the other half. And this side is uneven. That's its split. And it can't be falsified. So, and here you see also that it's between D and Baltic Indigenous Bank that this transaction was done originally, which was in year 17. But now, 8 years later, the other half has moved into Örebro Tingsrätt. And today is 12th of December, and I gave them also a check worth 1 quadrillion, because they could choose if they would use the check or the tally stick to convert for the whole world. Because I have now demanded that Swedish Riksbank of Gotland is the world central bank. And they could convert only the part of humans that lives in Sweden, the quotas. So it was for 12 million people. As human, there's heritage bonds, quotas are counted. Because I have changed the whole accounting system of the world. It's not now IBM and International Monetary Fund, special drawing rights, fraud, total monopoly, that is unhuman and a threat to humanity and is hostile to humanity and is torturing and holocausting humanity, waging war on humanity. So now it's world indigenous rules. That's what this capitulation is about. They imposed unlawful currency, special drawing rights. I forbid it, of course, in a parallel manner without any shocks. And we introduce world indigenous rules for all countries and all people on earth. That will be managed by the indigenous people of the nation and the local indigenous language groups. So it's a total shift. It's a total restart. Of indigenous peoples' Godland. That I, Ditta of Godland, indigenous empress, am declaring and restoring and creating on earth. So today on the 12th of 12th, the check is the final day of the check to be converted into the by Swedish Riksbank imposed digital points. So as they haven't been in contact with me, I realized that they will be ignoring my lawful offer and claim and demand of capitulation of these death camp systems. So I do now prolong that check and the possibility to convert that check and that tally stick. So it will no longer be the 12th of 12th, year 25, that is today. It will be until a worthy converter will come forward. So the date will be open until it is converted. So I also change the receiver of the check. It's no longer Lars Gunnar Lund, but any respectful receiver who takes contact with me can then, through me, together we can claim back that tally stick and that check, and together convert it. On that check, if you check the previous court session, you will see those checks and tally stick copies that I showed in the previous court session. So on that check, the person who was supposed to sign the conversion of Swedish share was Carolina Ekholm. who was also the receiver of the check I left to Swedish Riksgälden, that controls all the transactions of Swedish state companies. And Carolina Ekholm is very well aware that things are not lawful in the very basis of financial transactions. And though she is the boss of Riksgälden, she has specifically stated in her annual report findings that the bearers of all costs are the people, but somehow all the advantages are with corporations. So, but here we are. All of these officials are captured. All of them are hostages of these digital programs. Digital financial, monetary programs on Visa cards or mobile phones, you name it, or accounting programs. And I am empress in at least 4 capacities, which is that I'm accountant, highest accountant of Earth accountants. I'm also highest judge, highest banker, and also highest Marshal General Commander, which is very important position now when I do Nuremberg 2 court proceedings to capitulate the dark force leadership who have captured all humanity and all animals and all living species on Earth into a death camp grid. Of 5th generation warfare, covered as modern technology, products and services. So I do capitulate these covert armies waging war on humanity and all species of Earth. I capitulated by taking back International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice, International Bank of Settlements, International Monetary Fund, and all armies are returned back to kin. I create peace on Earth. I forbid war. And all warmongers are to be arrested and judged due to the Courts of Godland statutes. and local national statutes according to warmonger crimes, and also according to local indigenous group common laws. So Gesara Nesara project through United States of America Corporation rules I bring forward as well. And through those processes, the Nesara rulings about the takebacks of lands from banker corporations go forward globally, and all land is returned to nations, ecological agricultures, and indigenous people. All sky is cleared from weather weaponry and microwave weapons. And all the weapons that I have shown to you, that I have pictured here on this drawing. And while we're at it, please have a look at our beautiful hall where I am. Sitting here by the flag of Godland and my painting and the sword, the Viking sword. And here are our premises with the beautiful high windows. Now I will share the screen and we will have a look at the document. That will be sent to ICC and ICG and all the other here named So it's today, 12th of year 25, 12,025 with 10,000 added for Indigenous calendar. And this is a document of Godland, and it is valid in any state on earth and beyond. Particularly, it's created in the state Gårdsjö Sweden in Sweden, and Latvian Republic, where I live, and it is Baltic Sea Indigenous Court of World Indigenous Human Love Order Courts of Scotland that issues this decree as official international worldwide organization. That is one of the eldest on earth, as Indigenous courts are ancient. And it's urgent executive orders of Empress Ditta of Godland based in the decision of Baltic Sea Indigenous Court on the criminal nuclear war systems of the Iron Death Cage court series of Nuremberg II, which is Ni vi Run Berg II, which is actually the right name of Nuremberg. To decree number 13, this is. On capitulation of all international and national commercial corporations pretending to be lawful governments, reorganizing to buy Indigenous people-owned cooperatives. That's what we do. We create by Indigenous people-owned cooperatives as states. All states are reorganized to that. And it's also a peace treaty of Godland for capitulation of Vatican's death camp grid of in unrestricted genetic mutilation warfare seized Earth. Proceedings of the Baltic Sea Indigenous Court were held through the internet, and evidence is visible on YouTube channels Free Latvia, Radioactive BSR, Baltic Sea Indigenous, Indigenous Courts IWOCG, and mostly for the last years well and properly protocoled Odyssey.com Indigenous Scotland channel, where there is no censorship, as it is on the other channels on YouTube now. So from the initial meetings between the 1st of June, year 15, into ongoing courts of justice on the 12/12/25. The global case that judges the La Grande Nazi fourth Roman raid conspirators and their local chipped slave drivers, completing the series of originally quarterly week-long conferences, Courts of Baltic Sea Indigenous Court, as part of the Indigenous World Order Court of Godland, that has made all the victims and their perpetrators into billionaires of LoveOrder.INFO, ruling penalties to the war criminals who shall comply and apply for amnesty and rehabilitation, or receive the sentence in any way local Indigenous people choose preferable. So you see, everybody becomes a billionaire as we give shares of all wealth of earth to each human to be shared. And that is Human Earth Heritage Bond, downloaded from LoveOrder.INFO. You have 125 billion. Everybody has. And you can use 100 of it each year. Though you will be helped to use it wisely. And quotas you can issue every month and you can buy land with that, and there is no interest as you issue it in OXA, not in the debt money, and OXA is not debt. It's just a share of each human's amazing value. So, capitulation orders in the case of Indigenous World Order Gårdsjö Godland, dismantling cannibal corpses of criminal nuclear war systems, creates peace and erases war treaties. And this case number is IWOCG 331 12,025. And let's see who will be the receivers of this capitulation order decree. Here you can see the receivers. So we are actually sending this to the auditors. And to all member states of ICG and the ICC in Hague, Netherlands. And to the board of these organizations, to auditors of UCMG enacting United States Congress, DOE and DOD in Washington, D.C., which is a military court of United States, which actually is not just United States of America, but if you check the where the bases of United States are, they are in the whole world. So this is the New World Order structure. United States is All States United Corporation. And through military law, I take back all valuable infrastructure of all states into ownership of Indigenous people. And we do it through UCMG as well. To Auditor of Vatican in Rome, Italy, of course, because Vatican is the issuer of all bulls. Since 1302, when they issued the bull Unam Sanctum, where all value of earth belongs to the Pope. So I challenge the popes and I replace them, as they have been managing earthlings badly. I promise to create love order for earthlings, all inhabitants on earth. I replace the ruling papal leadership as the Empress Ditta of Godland. That's my offer, and I give it even to Vatican, because obviously they are right now managing massacre of all living species of Earth, replacing life natural with life synthetic, robotoid. And I put my word in here. I put my name in here. And I forbid that massacre. And I do negotiations of change of leadership. So, the auditor of IBM, of course, in New York, in United States, and Stockholm as well, because that's the closest. And BlackRock in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and Stockholm as well, of course. To auditors of Thales Group and NEA in Paris, France. To auditors of Serco Defense SA, Brussels, Belgium. To auditors of International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna, Austria, and FTC as well. To auditors of United Nations, the Red Cross Corporations in Geneva, Switzerland. To auditors of Alphabet, Microsoft, Apple, Baidu, Shanggu, Yandex, Rambour. To auditors of corporations Pravительство РФ, Roscosmos, and all other governmental corporations. To auditors of all political party corporations, even communist. China Communist Party, Socialdemokraterna and Moderaterna as Swedish tyranny parties. To auditors of all royal houses, including Konungahuset, that's a Swedish one. To auditor of Corporation European Commission and Corporation European Union. To auditor of Sweden's Riksbank, its owners, managers, and business partners. To auditors of Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. And to be forwarded to following bank partners and all other in this fraud business. To auditor of Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System and Treasury of United States of America. To auditor of International Monetary Fund headquarters. Which are several. And to auditor of Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Auditor of Japan Credit Bureau. Going pear-shaped. So it's in Minato, Tokyo, Japan Credit Bureau. And the auditors of Discover Financial Services in the United States, to MasterCard Incorporated, New York, to Visa in California, to American Express in New York, to PCI Security Standards Council in United States, or Wakefield, to all auditors of world banks that are now, through this verdict, reorganized into Indigenous World Order Banks of Godland, with headquarters here in Gårdsjö. As Stockholm is an occupied city by warmongers, occupied city, and all corporations of governance in Sweden, the official ones, are in the hands of Skynet, algorithm imposers that are committing Holocaust. So I now today claim that all humanities, not only Sweden's governance, is now represented by me, Ditta of Godland, of all over 200 nations and of all more than 7,000 indigenous peoples. So, and particularly to auditors of Swedish Riksdagen, which is a parliament of Sweden, and to Swedish Audit Corporation, State Audit Corporation, Riksrevisionen, and Regeringskansliet, that is the governance offices of Swedish government, And to Riksgälden, that I already mentioned, that is the state department, all financial system management corporation, Riksgälden. That is also the registrar of Sweden Kingdom of, that has replaced Kingdom of Sweden. Sweden Kingdom of is registered as a corporation on Securities Exchange Commission. So it's governed through Securities Exchange Commission. And I take back Securities Exchange Commission as well, and I'm now the leader of Securities Exchange Commission. I now take back all international, worldwide agencies into ownership of humanity. And I do the takebacks through this system of changing the currency from special drawing rights to world indigenous runes. So, and then it is the prosecutor's office, Åklagarmyndigheten, that it is sent to on the state level. So this is the content of this decree. Decree is 55 pages, and I will just go and skip through it. You have to read it yourselves. I will just skip through it. So this is the death cult conglomerate that I'm capitulating, that has hopefully in the background taken over humanity's governance. This picture is very useful to understand its structure. And these are the ways they have captured in war crimes, death camp, and through nuclear warfare, as here there is a map of underground nuclear bomb tests. As you can see, they have been bombing Russia and the whole United States, winds blowing up from Nevada. So the main crucial issue here is that I stopped nuclear waste being prepared for batteries to armies of robots. This new reset of turning Earth into a robot environment instead of human environment. I stopped that. As you saw this, so download this document under the video. It's called Decree 13. And these clauses are from Decree 12. Indigenous default currency, courts and banks of Godland Empire Establishment Clause. Number 9. And Vatican IBM BlackRock Vanguard Hybrid Tyranny Capitulation, Nationalization, Reparations, Territorial Takebacks and Restitution, Clause number 10. Download Decree number 12 that will be on LoveOrder.INFO shortly. And they all went to Göta hovrätt court case that is trying to criminalize me, to get me into jail for demanding leaderships to be capitulated. The court case number is B3658. '25 or 24. And in Skaraborgs tingsrätt, which was the first instance, the court case number was B101824. Well, it has to be 24 in Göta hovrätt as well. So, so this is my oath to everybody. I will not go through the whole of it, but what I do if you put me into place of being the Empress of Earth and beyond, I can do, very importantly, several things. But main 3 is to create love order and give welfare to everybody as I make everybody into shareholders. But I do close this gap. You see, in this pyramid of power, I close the gap because I become visible, Empress. Because you people who don't have a clue who rules you. Right now, there is a gap, and the rulers are invisible. And the third thing was that I can promise you that I'm human. I'm human, and I have not been taking any gene-modifying shots. But right now, we have no idea who is ruling us. It might be totally different species who use us just as food or as slaves. And right now are changing this mining plain T, terra. No longer to be mined by humans, but by robots. So they are killing off humanity because they might have found out that they don't need humanity anymore. And they do it, of course, covertly, not to get the reaction to this threat from humans. So demands take back of government facilities from fake and genocidal governors are here. And Ditta of Godland is here, and not through quantum financial system, because quantum financial system is their digital tyranny tool. It's a Chinese slave camp system. So there are other clause here. And empires I do create, and I give you treaties. For indigenous king rule in love order of all nations of earth. That's what I give you, people, if you allow me to be your empress of earth. So this was the Mark- och miljödomstolen, Land and Environment Court in Sweden, case M133311, that decided to create nuclear waste final repositories, first on Earth in Sweden, where I am part in that case since the very beginning in 2011. And on 26th of September, year 24, I was there, and the whole week I was there, and I revealed that that court case is totally captured by military industry, and all nuclear waste will be stolen to be used in fifth generation warfare. That's where it will go. So that saga on nuclear final repository, just forget it. As long as IBM, military industrial complex, owns all programs of all governments, there will be no nuclear waste cemeteries that are final. And we have to do these takebacks, and that's what I'm doing. So, and there is this great webpage on thegreattaking.com where you can see also how this system has been captured. And I have given, as I told you, to MMD in Nacka, to Carolina Ekholm, to sign 850 trillion Swedish crowns to build by Baltic Sea region all humans owned nuclear waste cemetery that is financed by us, the region's people, because we are the shareholders. We are the owners of these lands. And they have the check, and it has been prolonged. And the checks and stick worth 5,000 trillion was received by Bo Broman in Riksbanken for takeback of 2 milliard Europe's people from this Jesuit slave registry that we are on right now. So I have placed these treasuries, bonds, and in checks and balances of crucial institutions. And I'm informing you that they are there. And if something happens to me, you can pledge your loyalty to be Godland's ruler instead of me and to carry on my work. That's where the cycle completes. But right now I'm doing these capitulations and I have this methodology that you now know. So this is a Swedish text about the fact that just the year 21-22 has 1 million of children been injected with COVID injections. And 5G, 6G weapon systems have been established in the whole of Sweden and in the whole world. So we have all right to capitulate these death cult, death camp leaders. And now I do this. And here you see that on the 5th of May, year 23, Bo Broman received the cardstock and check worth 5 trillion Swedish crowns. And Björn von Sydow received 1 trillion already 2018 from me to stop the warmongering works and to bring the troops back to their homes and families, to create babies and create love. But no, these warmongers have not acted on my very generous offers. And then I have given the check worth 1 trillion to both Mats Öhman in Gårdsjö commune, who is pretends to be a fish officer, public officer, and chief of Gårdsjö's commune. And he's one of the people who are trying to put me into prison for giving him notice that he's doing capital offense crimes. And obviously, there are around 30 people pretending to be public officers, which me and Lars Rutger Solstråle have in the courts we have proven that we are the public officers, the only ones left. And that's why all the proceedings of Göta hovrätt B365824 case are now confidential, because we proved that we are the public officers. We demand true justice and we create welfare, and they don't. They run death camp. So this is Mats Öhman. That's who that man is. You can see that here, yeah? Mats Öhman, Gårdsjö commune. The same is in police in Mariestad and Skövde. They also received 1 trillion weir check a bit later when we realized that Mats Öhman has proven that he's a traitor and he will not even contact us to understand what's going on. just to go to police and try to get rid of us, because we stop their crimes and they have to get rid of us, of course. So then in Skaraborgs tingsrätt, where the case B101824 was previous summer, I gave check was 6 trillion where to the judge who was judging us and his chief, who is chief of Skaraborgs tingsrätt. So the check ended in the hands of the chief of Skaraborgs tingsrätt. Peter is his name. I don't remember his full name now. Skagenfors eller någonting. And they just put those documents into archives directly. And then they stole my private belongings. They didn't return them to me. They just... So I made a police complaint that Peter stole my private belongings, but nothing happened there as well. So it's a loop. You can't get to them. So, but what happens when this happens? It happens that when they don't show themselves as reliable people, and they don't even try to respond or contact us and find remedies, then the power ends in the hands of us who have taken contact with them and have tried to find remedies. So as their courts are fraudster courts, then now my court is the reliable remedy court, and I am the highest judge. And Banker, as you know, it's a bit tricky here, get everything going. And I don't want to go over the 2-hour standard for this court case. Something happened. I'm sorry, this was not meant to be here. So where is our document? Our document is here. So, oh God, I was too long with this. So, this is Swedish. Okay. And it's totally proven that COVID bioweapon attack is still ongoing. They are not stopping any of it. And imprisoned humanity is in death camp programs run by World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, BIS, Vatican, IBM. And we are forced into hypnotic pulse reality simulation and to be obedient to our executors. And that's not what we accept. So, Real Solutions by Ditta of Godland, capitulation of IBM, Vatican, BlackRock, Pepe Orsini, digital prison grid, and take back of all national state structure systems into ownership of nations' indigenous people. To remedy the system and behavior of all nations' government, I just judge the current monetary, financial, and auditing system program to be deeply murderous, the very root of humanity's collapse into its dehumanization. Thereof, even the solution does not involve war, revolutions, or military tribunals, but my Empress's decrees that you have to put in place. 1. I nationalize into humanity's ownership, IBM, and order reprogramming of its redistribution of wealth algorithms. 2. I criminalize war and order to arrest any warmongers. 3. I nationalize ICC in Hague into ownership of humanity and reboot ICC finances to become competent and rich, as financed with Human Earth Heritage Bond shares of all humanity. 4. Swedish Central Bank has received my orders of nationalization of all central banks already, year 18, and I still judge to change financial world currencies into by indigenous peoples owned and managed local indigenous currencies that are versions of world indigenous runes weir. 5. I have likewise nationalized all military corporations and sent all military back home in return to King Decree from 2017 received by one Sidov. 6. Political actors are sent home too to reappear in their indigenous shapes. 7. Peace treaties are signed by indigenous chiefs. And I, as the representative of all 7,270 indigenous language peoples, I sign worldwide peace treaty and I forbid war. And all warmongers have to be arrested. But how to enforce my decrees? Let's get them to the enforcers. And that means that you have to become enforcer of my decrees. Find the ways. So prosecution has delivered unrefutable evidence of New World Order conspirator war crimes and establishing individual responsibility in compartmentalized areas of the in whole totally controlled military IBM program of demolition of human civilization's main genetic pools with bioweapons and migrations and stealth of all wealth of humanity. Through COVID pandemic and World Economic Forum, World Health Organization reset processes with digital programs that have reshaped self-sustainable traditional national cultures into New World Order death camps. I stand tall to pick up the pieces if the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, United Nations Armageddon will now be stopped and its leaders removed from power. If that is not accomplished, 2030 mark will be reached with unrestorable damages. Agenda 2050 is to have completed the herding of survivors into 200 cities and total restriction of access to all land on Earth. That I forbid. So some of the charges against the defendants of this case. 1. Use of dual-purpose weaponized products camouflaged as being only useful products, microwaves, emitting telephones and computers, vaccines, smart watches and smart meters, all smart gadgets of IT, of things, etc. 2. Fraud of elected leadership. 3. fraud of lawful constitutional authority of international public service institutions, courts, banks, religions, and military. 4. Fraud of national security intent while aiming to enslave and depopulate all countries. 5. Cyber attacks through bio-cyber interfaces of Internet of Bodies networks that are hijacking bodies of all humans from satellites, etc. 6. Genocide of all nations. 7. Warmongering. 8. Human trafficking, including child kidnapping. 9. Stealth of all nations' wealth and all humans' property. 10. Establishment of slavery systems through 11. Private ownership of public monetary means. 12. And private apps and businesses pretending to be reliable public offices. 13. Systems of bioweaponized medicine. And 14. Microwave telecommunication radiation poisoning. And 15. The crime of augmentation of humans with experimental nanoparticles and technogels and cyber interfaces for remote control of biorobotized mind-controlled victims. 16. Sterilization of humans with covert methods and means. By this decree, humanity is given healing option, as humanity can now be rescued. Through this remedy decree, and this decree is Earth's Empress decree, that of Ditta of Godland. I am the highest ruler on earth, the Empress, the protector of all indigenous and constitutional monarchs, restoring indigenous might on the lands of their predecessors and empowering any human with constitutional and unalienable rights, but even duties, to protect and serve. So that is just drops from this document, more charges of invisible attack, unrestricted warfare, and the remedies. That's the main part of my work, is to create the remedies. And remedies come when reliable emperor is installed in the management leadership top. And then the whole pyramid can be healed, as it is a dictatorship. It's a total, the current human governance system is a total military dictatorship. And the talk about democracy is a total lie. So in my work, I use the current system, but I, through my loving nature and methods of welfare and shareholder cooperatives, I, through my leadership, heal the whole pyramid of dictatorship. So I'm a loving dictator. And then I can heal the whole everything very fast. And that has always been proven method. It has been proved that emperors can heal. They can destroy, but they can heal. Everything depends on the emperor, if it is the real ruler. That's why verification of rulers is very important. The verification systems is number one rule in the Rights of Godlanders. Please download the Rights of Godlanders. Verdict and arrest warrant to save human species as such in times of extinction, causing systemic unrestricted warfare with covert weapons of fifth generation, inflicted by a group of beings who don't consider themselves to be human, as they define humans as other species called goyim. In time when most of humanity's governments have been lured to work for warmongers of 2030 reset to build Skynet that covertly murders humanity and replaces it with technocracy, tyranny, robot armies. I judge to arrest all non-human orders establishing leadership of all religion corporations as they run New World Order, IBA slave camp and death camp worldwide grid, Red Cross included. In this omnicide emergency, I do take over the leadership of Vatican's worldwide empires, bank and courts and Vatican military orders. I reset this syndicate in steps with desired completion until December year 26. I challenge Vatican establishing bulls and charters and Unam Sanctum from 1302 as one of those as unlawful, slavery and death camp establishing documents, null and void. To my current knowledge, Vatican banking is the base of all humanities banking platforms, even for all other religion businesses and nations established as Vatican vassals. If that is not the case, I take over even all existing other banks and courts and military orders. I judge to arrest all leaders of all political parties as businessmen of New World Order, IBM slave camp worldwide grid, working for non-human species even if unknowingly. I judge takebacks of all nation-state infrastructure into ownership of nations' people with only to native indigenous people loyal kings and queens to rule the nations, under control of each nation's citizens who are the owners of nation's state infrastructure and payment systems. National constitutions shall be inspired by Gaddafi's Green Book without any left or right ideologies or religions, and adjusted to statutes of Godland courts, banks, and the rights of Godlanders. All words currencies shall be convertible to Weir World Indigenous runes and registered by Indigenous bookkeepers or deemed invalid. I have investigated testimonies included in the grand jury documents of Brian F. Woolmish, and that grand jury documentation, protocols, and all materials are included in my proceedings of this court. This decision is to be enforced in all jurisdictions on earth. In interpreting Article 7, paragraph 1 of the Code of Civil Procedure, it is important that this provision is based on the predecessor of Article 8, opening words, and until Brussels Regulations I1 bis. This is about arrest of Gates and all governments, or for all governments, who imposed COVID pandemic warfare on their nations. And the bioweapon vaccine violates all 10 Nuremberg Code paragraphs, which can lead to the death penalty for those who try to break international laws. No international court hands down death sentences. Military tribunals do, and Godland statutes do. So Bill Gates, which is quite a historical line, as his father, Frederick Gates, was one who created Spanish flu pandemic. So he obviously is quite hard to arrest, but the arrest order is targeting Bill Gates and all the accomplices. The 10 points of the Nuremberg Code, the 10 points of the code were given in the section of the verdict entitled Permissible Medical Experiments. The voluntary consent to treatment of the human subject is essential. That's number one. Number two, the experiment should be such as to yield fruitful results for the good of society. Two, the experiment should be designed and based on results of animal experimentation. Four, experiments should be conducted to avoid all unnecessary physical and mental suffering and injury. Five, no experiment should be conducted where there is a priori reason to believe that death or injury will occur. Six, the degree of risk to be taken should never exceed that determined by the humanitarian importance. Seven, proper preparations should be made and adequate facilities provided to protect the experimental subject. Eight, the experiment should be conducted only by scientifically qualified persons. 9, during the course of the experiment, the human subject should be at liberty to bring the experiment to an end if he has reached the physical or mental state where continuation of the experiment seems to him to be impossible. 10, during the course of experiment, the scientist in charge must be prepared to terminate the experiment at any stage. None of these rules were possible in the COVID pandemic, and still it is going on. So in Swedish, there is proof in the statistics about the crimes. Charges against Sweden's Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson, who works for World Economic Forum, Bilderberg's Palantir World Takeover, treason charges and crimes of genocide, invisible attack, admin of Sweden as slave camp, death camp, child trafficking. And all these charges apply to all prime ministers of all nations who have been using COVID pandemic and who are using IBM financial programs, that is a private death camp program. So we are using law of war. To solve the problem and to find the remedy. To stop warfare and establish peace. So it doesn't matter whether the puppets controlled by an occupying power are civilian or military. That's what's said in the law of war. And no Western government serve its own people, but other very hostile interests. So this is the People's Scotland Courts and Banks Real Nuremberg Tribunal, Nuremberg 2. And we stop deadly censorship, and we establish truth commissions and investigations. And as long as they have not been impossible, then my decrees are the rule and law. Nuremberg violations, government vaccination agents should be reclassified as enemy combatants. And vaccine syringes, vaccine syringes are weapons of mass destruction. Bioweapon Convention applies. So establishment of constitutional courts and banks of all nations, with local indigenous currencies convertible to real-world indigenous rules, and that are owned by the people of the nation, is the stage that is absolutely crucial to stop this Skynet death prison establishment. That's why we have also used these court cases in Skövde, Skaraborgs tingsrätt, and Jönköping, Göta hovrätt, and Örebro tingsrätt to demand these corporations to create constitutional court and create people's constitution and put it on vote, on people's vote. Because right now, people don't have their constitution, their contract with the governing corporations. We managed to put that process and put a draft of such a constitution contract into the proceedings of these courts, where they were trying to put us in prison, us, the saviors of the people. And it all got classified. But at least it's there. And in the first instance in Skövde, in Skaraborgs tingsrätt, there even was TV4 crew who filmed when I claimed that I take over this court to create constitutional court for the people's agreement with the administration of the state. And it's all on record. You can find all the proceedings of our court on Odyssey channel, Indigenous Godland, and there are playlists. Click on playlists because there is so much information there, but if you click on playlists, you will find more specifically the proceedings of New World Order capitulation court and even the previous court. And we have also created people's auditing process, and we have demanded to get the government corporations to be reconstructed. And here is the OCR number of the reconstruction. And there was, we gave also a check with that number in the rear, where we demanded to start reconstruction of the government corporation regeringskansliet, so that it is owned by we the people. And the same process have to be done in all nations, and please get moving. And all my decisions are lawful. They are in actually divine right now. They are in divine laws known by the people, and they are in common laws, in natural laws, and in all constitutional laws and of any nation, and international law of peace. And everything I'm doing is totally lawful. We have the right and we have the duty to protect ourselves and our families and our people. And that's what we do here. We use even military law to stop the warmongers and death camp establishers. And here you can see my contact numbers, and you can always call me just through Swedish 0046 703 999 069 is my telephone, and you can write to me info@LoveOrder.INFO. And those addresses here, the cat has come here to me. The addresses are valid. You can write to me. And So we have declared indigenous decentralization of any and all corporate charters of all business corporations pretending to be governments of peoples and of all 200 states of the world, such as Switzerland, Austria, Vatican, China, Israel, District of Columbia, United States, federal government, United States of America, any state of, as Sweden Kingdom of is, too, and all international equivalents, inclusive of any and all offices, inclusive of any and all constitutions and offices, public servants, executive orders, treaties, memberships, acts, and any and all other contracts and agreements made thereunder and thereby are now void, worthless, and otherwise cancelled, unrebooted. Whereas the conditions set forth by the rulers of Godland from year 17 and court order from year 16 have been breached, and whereas clause 29 among other states, breaches of these clauses shall result in reprisals, and whereas, according to international law, a reprisal is an act of restoration, short of war, for damage of loss suffered. And whereas on the 1st of June, year 15, an Indigenous Peoples Court, the Baltic Sea Indigenous Court, was re-established, and whereas the needs and aspirations of each man and woman are therefore protected by the wise and loving Indigenous elders, whereas Indigenous people of Latvia have used their own traditional ancient wisdom and have re-established Indigenous law through recent declarations that can be found on Latvia.lv declarations. Latvian Society Latvian Honor Court had 15 of February year 15, among others, re-established following laws for the indigenous people. Traditional structures of indigenous men and women make orders to county and state executives. Traditional structures consist of indigenous courts and indigenous cons who represent indigenous people. County and state institutions have to know indigenous rights and to implement them. 3. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the World Indigenous Court of Godland on behalf of Cons of Godland that the will of the Cons of Godland be fulfilled and immediate action taken to re-establish the structures of lawful and legitimate national states ruled by their indigenous peoples. In witness whereof the undersigned, in trust of all the gods of love, peace, and welfare of all the indigenous people in unity with all other living beings, have signed this decree. Ditta of Emperor of worldwide Godland, highest judge of all courts of Godland, on earth, defense of humanity Marshal General, highest auditor for earth's species, Bank Treasurer and Restitution Take-Back Director on Earth. LoveOrder.INFO webpage. So it is on the 12th day of December, today, year 25, this document ends, and it's a 55-page document that you can download from LoveOrder.INFO. And then I will show you decree number 12 about, that is also an arrest of Bill Gates, a decree. And it is in inspired by rectoprect.online proceeding. Which was the only court that was trying to arrest Bill Gates. And here you can see the translations of the court proceedings in several languages. Here you can see how the Dutch court are trying to prosecute Bill Gates went forward. This is the original document. Text. Okay, there went some nice porcelain. The kitten got it. Okay, so this is the case number C17-19788. Judgment of 16th of October 24. Anyway, they didn't manage to arrest Bill Gates. They didn't get. Of course, it was all changed. But this makes me to understand that this is not the document I wanted to show you. So, which brings me to the point where I'll have to find another document, and I'll want to find it now, I guess. But I will show you how this works through a language decree from year 19. How you download this one from LoveOrder.INFO, and this is a document of Baltic Sea Indigenous Court for the whole world, and it's an order to comply with the sentence of this court and the judgment of this court. Ditta of Godland versus foreign business corporations in any nations, in any country that pretend to be legitimate government of people, states being satanic corporations of empire syndicates, Crown of England, Vatican, Noahid, Sharia, Asia, the American Nazi slave cities with millions of DunsandBradstreet.com death camp businesses as telecom microwave bases, weaponized vaccine, pharma, etc. And then there is this ruling that it's hereby ordered that all the property, wealth, and movable goods of pharma, telecom, and military corporations and their associates are now and forever forfeited as Citizen Council state property to stop duly convicted pharma, microwave, and other war crimes against humanity. 2. Ordered that all the worldwide historically governed state and municipality properties are publicly reclaimed and are declared to be spaces owned by citizens and governed by local wise, to indigenous and national state citizens, loyal leaders, under oath and in contract with diarchs of Indigenous World Order of Godland. 3. It is further ordered that the officials, clergy, and employees of these corporations are to reorganize these corporations to be in contract with International World Order of Godland, and are not to impede, halt, or disrupt the peaceful movement of by local indigenous people verified and validated humans into these publicly reclaimed local indigenous citizen council state premises. 4. Police authorities in Sweden and all the world are hereby deputized to assist in the enforcement of this court order and protect the right of the people to peacefully reorganize and govern the reclaimed transhuman war-waging corporations, or to stand aside and refrain from interfering with the enforcement of this lawful common law order. And there are the signatures. Leif the First of Godland, World Con, and highest judge and highest banker, and Lars Gestorstråle, World Indigenous Secretary, and prosecutor. And this is the same document in Latvian translation. And this is a practical paper from year 19 that was given to police in Haninge, to Magnus Strid, trying to take back the police office, the whole police corporation of Sweden, using 10 milliard a year check. But unfortunately, they were very, very primitive. They're just doing what digital order givers are asking, digital point givers, programmers are asking. They are IBM wage slaves, the police. And then the power comes to us. When we have talked to them and tried to find remedy, and they don't want to find remedy, and they keep murdering us, then we are the police. I am the highest police chief in all levels and in all nations now. And here is the check that we sent to Kong Harald of Norway. With the task to take back the Bank of Norway into ownership of people of Norway. And this is just a scanned version of it. I don't have that check. It went to Norway, to Bank of Norway. You can see how this works. You download these checks from LoveOrder.INFO, OXA, because this is OXA. This is not money, because money is always debt to IBM program now. And it is, as you know, that it's a deadly sin to put interest on any loan. It was Christianity's basic goal. So that it was forbidden. It was a deadly sin to put interest on any money sum. But now it's everywhere. It's this deadly sin crime is ongoing everywhere. That's one of the criminal charges on financial fraud. And so this is the check, and you fill your checks, you check out, you do it like this, and then you carve your wooden coins and tally sticks, and you keep books and balances. Then I'll open one more document so you can understand how much you can use. Oh, this is Latvian. Yeah, it's not easy to understand. But it is. We have it in Swedish as well. But you had it before this form. You could have, but it is in Swedish and Latvian. I don't think we have it in English actually. So it has to be translated. So these are 14 parameters where you can issue your own money, or rather OXA. Your own world indigenous runes. On monthly basis, you can issue quotas and bring those checks to your local IBM governance tyranny and demand them converted, because they are imposed on you. These digital programs are imposed violently without any referendum. And Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People that was taken by all nations almost in United Nations on the 13th of September, year 2007, states that all Indigenous people have the right to their own social economical systems. And that's where you say, this is our social economical system of our indigenous peoples. And we demand you convert our quotas to the by your regime imposed system that has monopoly on all products and services in the country, as that digital system program was never voted on. It is total tyranny. So this is how you do it. Just and on the left side, they will write how much they will convert, and then they will do the signatures down here with the emails, the converters, and that's how we get on with conversion process of indigenous checks and balance bonds and checks and also tally sticks, because this can be added both to check and to tally stick this particular document form. And then the next thing I wanted to show you is, of course, the very main document, Human Earth Heritage Bond of Godland, where we have split one quadrillion that now is in Örebro Tingsrätt with Lars Gunnar Lund in the archives probably, that I have now, and the other side is, as you saw, with me. So, but so this says that humanity is the owners of all stocks and bonds of human civilization, and each human has its share. And if we split that quadrillion into 8 milliard humans, then it's 125 billion world indigenous rune, and then 100. As we live 100 years approximately, then we can use 1/100 of the bond every year, and annual 1 billion goes to worldwide welfare creation of reformed corporations and earthly gifts, leaving approximately 250 milliard annually for each human's regional creation shared on 1/10 of the village governance, 1/10 for county governance, 1/10 for state, 1/10 for regional union, and 6/10 for indigenous governance. So indigenous people become the most powerful, the richest. So download your Human Earth Heritage Bond. That is the base of the restart of indigenous power on Earth through worldwide Godland Empire. And then I will show you, this is the proof that I have been declared to be the judge in Sweden and in the whole Godland by Monarch Leif. And here are the documents that prove that Sweden Kingdom of is on Securities Exchange Commission. And you can see here that it is Riksgälden. Here you can see that, who are the fraudsters who have privatized for foreign power the state's base. Here are the documents about United States Department of Defense putting all humans into debt bondage, as all real men with hands and legs and all real land in the United States of America. $14,000 billion. That's not a lot. It's not enough at all. And it's abused and misused and privatized. So we have revealed this. It's all in the court papers. Örebro and Jönköping. Göta hovrätt. So, and this is very important document. This is the document that has 22 pages. That is the 4 contract document between me and you or anybody. This is for Latvians. This is made in Latvian. This is done in Latvian. The Latvians are the lucky ones. They have everything done for them, but still they are hypnotized and just obey IBM digital systems, programs. So you can see here, you just fill in, you translate this, and then you fill in your booklet of contracts with indigenous Gotland rulers in your land. You create this. And I'm the empress, and they have to make contract with me, the rulers of your land. So the first contract is that I issued, that I am reliable emperor of all earth. And I tell you about myself here and everything I promise to do for everybody. And late as well. The second 2 contracts are following. The first one is you fill in your name, and you state that you are under my protection. And you describe yourself and your parents so that I can know who you are. But you also state that you will be available to act in duty. The third contract is the contract of you with your indigenous society in your nation. If you don't find one, you create one. And you create a contract of that indigenous society with me, the Empress of Indigenous Scotland. And you download on the links here, you find the court decisions, year 17 of Latvian society, about Latvian indigenous people privileges on their lands. There are 55 rules, laws for Latvians on their lands in Latvia. But one of the rules is that
Latvians have to love all other people on their lands and can never allow war to happen. Latvians can have privileges on Latvian lands, but everybody will be able to fill their oxa quotas, and there will be no starvation, and there will be no need to hate or be slaves or to go into war, because these human as heritage shares change everything. And I forbid war, I forbid slavery, and love, order, and welfare will be everywhere. And the fourth contract is with the state. You fill your human name and create your contract to the state that has to be responsible and reliable. And you as a human in your state have your rights and your duties. And these are the rights of Godlanders and the duties of Godlanders. And it's all within love order. So it's a totally and absolutely peace and welfare system that I bring here with these human contracts, with the power. And these contracts will be added to each passport of Godland states. And that passport will be issued by Godland central banks of nations that are run by indigenous people of that nation. So this is how we do it. These are the main decisions of our Latvian court and also the worldwide court of Gotland that I run. And here are main points about the land, about the nation, about the energy, about true media, about life protection and the laws. Just some translations about the divinity and gods, where we criminalize the religious institutions that stop human union with the higher forces and use religious corporations to create war and genocide against indigenous people and all human and life on earth. So, and we use also Geneva Convention, as you see, from 49, 12th of August, about the war. What is the name? Hostages, war prisoners. There is law about it. We are all war prisoners on their IBM program. They forced it upon us. And here we use this Geneva Convention. We have rights even as war prisoners. Right now, if you don't allow us to create Godland and all these, our own checks, we demand to get minimum as war prisoners. That is also within this booklet. We have the rights to clothes, to hygiene, to medicine, to to roof upon. Right now, they have just put 0 on everything. Unemployment office threw me out when I asked who owns unemployment or corporation. They gave me 0. And local social commune administration also said they will give me 0. So this is, and even when they said that they will give me food so I don't die, they gave me only food, nothing else. Sort of, they didn't even give money for telephone communications that they impose to do banking for. So this is totally criminal program that is murdering us de facto. We are being murdered, and here is the method how we take it and capitulate this murderous death camp. So here are these 14 parameters that you saw on that form for conversion of WIR into your digital IBM currencies. So there are 14 parameters. And in this Godland booklet, you have the coupons for rationing to reach all these parameters, all the products and services that create LoveOrder hereby are offered to be in the rationing booklet. And you can use these rationing booklets to go there and say that I need this and that, and start talking with your officials about these obvious needs people have that have to be guaranteed. As number 1 is valuable work. Number 2 is indigenous rights. Number 3 is the insurance of indigenous people. Number 4 is local indigenous currency creation. Number 5 is the protection and defense on the spiritual level. Insurance. Number 6 is the very balance of all necessities. So everything is provided by the society if we start creating societies instead of death camp that we live in. And number 7 is the fertility and health. Number 8 is identity and ethnical protection, so that everybody, each indigenous tribe is protected in the society and can't be just tortured like right now, tortured out of existence. Half of the 7,170 languages are already extinct, and they are sort of going extinct fast under current death camp regime. And so number 9 is land and house building quotas so that nobody is homeless. 10 is electricity and energy quotas. 11 is indigenous education in protection. Number 12 is communication, administration, and technical grid quotas. 13 is control of the governance system. And 14 is love. Everybody has the right to feel that we are loved. and to have possibility to love people around us. Right now we are in a torture program where we are trained all the time to torture each other to survive. And that has been going on for a long time. And that has to stop. So now when I create love order on earth, there are quotas and rights to love and be loved, to exercise your love capacity, to get better at it. That's your right and that's your need. And here are the coupons that you can use to exercise all these needs and duties. So how practically you print out this booklet, then you translate it into your language, if you're not lucky to be Latvian, and then you go to your local council and you say that you have all these rights and you want to start working with them. And then you can start issuing yourself also World Indigenous Rune projects, as there will be none, because you live in a death camp. And then you start giving these booklets to other people, and then you start using them as barter, as long as nothing works right now in the death camp. But eventually, when you start using these booklets and the checks and the tally sticks and rune coins that you audit and write into your auditing books, issue them and share them to, or issue yourselves and start using. So you will have all this described here in 28 points, but it needs to create a society instead of death camp. So all 28 basic needs will be created and guaranteed. You have to get off the death camp IBM program, that's for sure. And then you can just forbid it in your society. But we have to start doing that, because there's no way just following their orders to survive. So here you can see also the coupons for war time, but you have to create the bases where you have the resources. You have to go back to land, you have to work there and create your village magazines where you can store stuff so you can survive when they will switch off the grid, which they will do. Of course they will do that. That's why they have been putting everybody on the electricity dependency. And so that was that. And then I'll show you the IT guide. This was the military corporation that was in Stockholm, and I went there and I managed to get in. And that's where I understood that these corporations that you can see here, they are preparing something. And in London, they were also next year. So why were they here? I was thinking Sweden is not in NATO. How can they at all have such a military corporation meeting? And they could, because everything is different than we think. And the Saab Thales, this military corporation, Thales, runs 70 countries, issues their passports and IDs and bank cards. Thales bank cards. They run everything now. So talk about democracy is just hypnotic lie. It is a death camp program, digital tyranny, totally private, totally. So I was there. So what I wanted to say is that it's the cat trying to get into my life. Can I show you to people when you are so sweet? Yeah, the kitten. He's only 4 months old. Okay, so what I wanted to say is that this is a military operation called COVID pandemic, and we are totally occupied. And I give everybody a chance to capitulate this occupation. And in this military fair, I learned that they do it in 2 ways. They had one booklet for simulation. They have simulation programs. Everybody is on state simulation program doing these digital transfers. But there is no state anymore. We don't have any state anymore. We are on a slavery program. That's one thing. And everything they say on TV and radio is total lie. They just are marching on, killing us. The second thing, electromagnetic kill box. It's all in place. They are under our skin. They know our pulse all the time. They can do anything. They can trigger any microwave diseases, and they are augmenting humanity on genetical level. And they needed these shots, COVID shots, to get in sensors, transistors, to remote control humans. We're totally mind controlled. Politicians, forget it. There are no politicians. Everybody is remote controlled. They are robotized cyborgs. That's why I give this offer to you. I have escaped injections, and I still think I'm suggesting this of my own will, under the circumstances of duty, to rescue humanity. Because it's, of course, not my will to do this hard job. I would rather be knitting and cuddling with my grandchildren, making nice foods, enjoying life. But under these rescue circumstances, this is my own will, and I offer you this methodology to use me as Empress and rescue the whole humanity, or those people who use this Godland jurisdiction, protection of humanity methodology. So that's approximately it. We'll manage to, I'm already over time. It's already 2 hours, 20 minutes. So there is a lot you can see on LoveOrder.INFO. And the document I wanted to show you as Decree 12 was not the document that I wanted to show. There is another Decree 12. I have had displacement of numbers here. I will see what I can do about this error. But anyway, I'm quite pleased with how we managed to go through everything today. So I'll stop dealing. I'll stop this, and now I'm back in the full view. And generally, things are very bad. Very, very bad. The enemy has overtaken the whole human infrastructure. And what I wanted to say more is we don't know the basics. We don't know where we live even properly. This thing about us being on a round ball that's shooting in the dark space around some huge volcano sun. It's probably a total lie. There are another theories how it is, and one of the theories that seems simple and possible is that the plane T, Terra, is a plane, and under a bowl and that there are many such planes, not only Earth. There is one book about that there are 178 such planes, and you can ship between them. There have been ships moving through Antarctica into another planes. And there is this theory that our plane, Terra T, plane T, is just a mine, a mineral mine, or other more lucky planes where they have more rights and welfare possibilities. And that seems quite logical because as much gold is being digged in on Earth, not only Zelensky is sitting on gold toilet seats, and it must be sort of on other planes, probably everybody is sitting on gold toilet seats. So my point is, it's most likely that some other non-earthly species are governing this prison, Earth. And it's very likely that my orders then will never be used, of course, because we are just prisoners and we will never have a chance to survive when they will now be executing us.
to put robot industries to mine the minerals they need on other planes. But I still stand here and I defend human species and all life on Earth. And I demand right to sit at the table with these managers that are cowardly changing, resetting Earth systems, murdering human species and other Earthlings. We have magnificent civilizations that have lived here for thousands of years, and they are being murdered fast now. No more. I stand and protect humanity. I don't allow the humanity to be slaughtered. Cowardly, without a fight. Or without peace treaty discussions. I'm one woman standing, last man standing, and I protect Earthlings. I capitulate New World Order death camp leaders. And issue takebacks of Godland. Because I know we can create love order on all planes that there are on Earth and beyond. Let's think bigger. Let's think more lovingly. Let's be lovers. I know I love you all. That's what gives me strength. This big love. Why not love? Why not? Let's do that. Love order starts with me and you. Thank you for the day and all your time.